Hey guys, it's Amber. So today I'm going to do a little bit of a chit chat, get ready with me, kind of go over where I have been through the last few years. I posted a few videos just trying to kind of get this channel restarted. I'm figuring it out as I go along. I do have my camera that is like a filming camera out instead of just my phone because I wasn't happy with the quality of that. So thank you for being patient with me as I figure this all out. But yeah, today I'm just going to do like a basic everyday makeup look. I'll show you what I'm putting on. And other than that, we'll just kind of chat about life, about things. So this is the e.l.f. poreless putty. You can tell I like this, right? It's basically almost gone. I got to learn how to do all this again. So anyhow, I like this primer a lot because it is good for filling in when you have like texture and also just dryness. I feel like my skin's doing a little better than it was, and it helps just fill in those pores and just any dry spots kind of helps smooth them over. But yeah, a quick recap for those who don't know. I was married for like 16 years. I had 3 kids, and about, I don't know, 4 years ago or so, I got divorced. Even though I didn't choose to get divorced or I didn't want to get divorced, I think it was better in the long run, just considering all that we had been through. I have lots of videos all about that. And so here I am. So then I was kind of thrown into this world of being a single mom. And that is a lot. If you are used to being a stay-at-home mom, at the time I was just home with my kids. I did hair a little tiny bit, but not a ton. I did make some videos, but man, life was just rough, you know? I knew my marriage was just going downhill. I had little kids, like my youngest was 2 when I moved out of Houston and moved back to Utah, and I lived with my mom. And while we were just trying to figure everything out, and I was there for several years just trying to figure out what was happening. We were kind of in this limbo, separated essentially. And so then, we ended up filing and moved forward, co-parenting our 3 kids. So now I have 2 boys and a girl, and my oldest is almost 17. And then I have an almost 14-year-old and an almost 9-year-old little girl. So it is crazy because when little Miss was born, I was making videos and I posted about it. And I remember like having this delivery video, and then it's like, oh my gosh, she's almost 9. Like, that's wild to me. So I just primed my eyes with my Anastasia eye primer, and we're going to throw it back today because I started filming videos using this original Urban Decay Naked palette, and they discontinued it and then they brought it back. So I figure, why not go back with an OG? So that's what I'm going to use today. Nothing too fancy. Just going to do like a little everyday makeup look here. So anyhow, so then I am just the single mom. I'm living at home. I'm trying to figure it out. And I started dating, and well, I thought that, when you're in your mid 30s, dating would be fun or different, or I just thought, when you're young, you're like dating somebody and they're like, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to go into be a teacher, I'm going to be whatever. Like, they tell you what they're going to be, but you don't really know. Like, it's a promise of, hey, this is who I'm going to be when I'm all grown up. Well, when you start dating, you're like, you're grown up. So what is it? What are you? What are you doing with your life? And it really puts into perspective like how people are, what they're doing with their life, what they're doing with their career, if they have children, what they're doing with those children. Are they actively parenting those children? And oh my gosh, it is wild. Like, I'll have to make a video on some of my worst dating stories, but I didn't want to be single forever. And I know some people would have been like, screw this. Like, I'm not going back into dating again. And for those people, I totally get why they wouldn't want to date again. Like, it is kind of terrible. I did have a boyfriend for over a year before I met my husband. And, it was a good relationship for me. I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I had that experience. But ultimately, he just wasn't my forever person. And I think our personalities clashed more and more now that I think of it. At the time, there was a lot of things that I think would not have worked out for a long-term relationship. But in the moment, you're just like focusing on the fun. Like we'd go do fun things and we go on hikes and, he'd make dinner and we get to, like, I got to kind of experience being me again. But those are all fun, but that's not what life's all about. You don't just like get to go do fun things all around. You have to like be together on the things that actually matter and have common goals and common parenting styles and just like personalities, like you don't have to be the same person, but your personalities have to understand each other. And I felt like we were getting to that point where I'm like, I don't think that we are compatible like long term. So we ended up parting ways. And shortly after that, I met my husband. So this was kind of a fun story. I honestly, when I broke up with my previous boyfriend, I was kind of like, do I even want to date? Like, I think that maybe being alone forever is fine. Like, I did not want someone's opinion about what I did with my life. I didn't want someone's opinion about how I spent my money or how I raised my children or anything. Like, I was just like, nah, I think I just want to do my own thing. But here's the thing, when you are alone, half the time, like me and my ex-husband have 50-50 custody. So we work really well together. He has the kids for a week. I have the kids for a week. And we've been doing that still. He's a great dad. Like he's still a friend to me, I could say. Like we work better as co-parents than we did as being married. Like he has come so far in his recovery from his accident. He had a car accident and a traumatic brain injury, and like we've been through it. But like we've been able to like forgive each other for whatever went wrong in our marriage and come together for our kids, which has been so ideal. And it honestly, in my opinion, if you can get to the point where you don't have to be friends, but if you can work together, it far surpasses being angry, bitter, hateful, and trying to hurt each other. Obviously, you have to have both people on that same train for that to happen. If one of the people do not want to be kind or nice, or if they're not willing to work, then it doesn't, there's only so much you can do basically. But we are both in the whole like, hey, let's work together. I think I'm going to go into toasted, do a little rose gold moment. We work together. We want to be the best parents we can for our kids. So that is something that a future partner also has to understand. Like they can't be jealous of me seeing my ex-husband a lot because we have kids. Or, hey, if we see each other at the basketball game and we talk to each other, like we have kids. Like, so it's kind of an interesting dynamic when you're a single parent because you have to like find a way to make it all work and make a good, healthy balance. Obviously, there's a balance to everything, and every single couple and relationship is going to be different. So when I don't have my kids, it's like, oh, cool. What do people without children do after work? Like, I went from working, a couple of days a week to working, 25, 30 hours a week. And it's like, what do I do with my time? I'm so used to just being a mom and mothering my kids, which I love to be a mom. And then I go home and I'm like, do I just cook dinner for me or do I go out or like what do I do? So, after a little while of being single, I was like, I think I'm ready to just go on some fun dates. And I had some pretty bad dates, which I'll save for another horror story video at the same time that I met my husband. So, I was dating a couple people or gone on dates. I wasn't like dating them, but like I had gone on dates with several people at the same time, within a couple weeks. But I was scrolling on Facebook dating, which is what I use to meet people. And a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Facebook dating is trash. I never found anyone good on that, but it worked for me. I found me a husband. So I was scrolling on there and someone had liked me and they had a picture of their little dog and it was a Boston Terrier. And it kind of made me laugh. And they were kind of like, let's see if my dog gets more matches than me, and kind of remarked about how it's hard to find people online. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's hard to find matches of people. Like most of the people that match with me, like, I'm like, did you even read my profile? Like, did you even look at what I'm into? You just saw someone you thought looked close to your age and clicked on it and liked it just to see what happens. I'm like, one, they're way too young. Two, they're way too old. I figured out how to change the controls, but at first it was like anybody could like me, and I'm like, why? You're only 20. Like, that's crazy. I'm 35, and oh my gosh, you're 60. Like, not that extreme, but like, it was insane. Like, I got a ton of people who liked me, but the people who I felt like actually had a chance to connect with me that I would be interested in wasn't a ton of people. You start talking to them, they ghost you, they never respond, you know, this and this. So you're like, oh, 50 people goes on to 20 people, goes on to 10 people, 5 people. So it can be a very frustrating experience trying to find someone that even responds to go on a date. So I looked at his profile, and he had said, you know, I am, you know, a single dad, and I want to give my love and loyalty to one woman. I'm debt free. I am calm. I like, he just like all the things he wrote in. I was like, yes, please. A loyal, calm presence of a man who doesn't have debt and doesn't have, like, you know, these other red flags that I had been seeing. I'm like, okay. So I scroll down through the cute pictures of his dog, and there's a picture of him at the end. I was like, oh, and he's cute. Okay, okay. And he's tall. Okay, I like that. My ex-husband was shorter than me, which was never an issue except for other people. They constantly would be like, oh, is he shorter than you? I'm like, oh my gosh, I never noticed he was shorter than me. Oh my goodness. But people like to point it out. Anyway, so my ex-husband's like 5'8", 5'9" and a half, 5'9" maybe on a good day, and I'm 5'10". So this guy was tall, 6'4". I'm like, okay. Used to play college basketball, also okay. And so I'm like, okay. So, you know, I messaged him back immediately, and I said, okay, you got me. That was cute. And, you know, just started chit-chatting. And I wish that I would have saved our conversation, but I didn't expect this to be my husband, so I don't remember exactly what we said. But essentially, we just started chit-chatting, and it very quickly, you know, gave him my number. We started texting, and he asked me out on a date, and I was like, okay. So I was pretty excited to go out with him. I definitely felt like he checked a lot of boxes of what I was looking for. We never spoke on the phone. We only texted. But the day of our date, it was like a giant snowstorm, and I was like, oh no, because like my ex-boyfriend, anytime there was like the least amount of bit of inconvenience, he lived like an hour to 45 minutes away from me. And so anytime there was like traffic or this or that, he'd be like, I don't want to come up, or it's so far to drive, or he's always like complaining about how far I lived away from him. And so my initial reaction from that was like, oh, it's snowing. Like, if you need to cancel, it's fine. And he's like, oh, no, I'm happy to still drive down. Like, you know, if you're good, I'm good. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm good, you know? And I was like, okay, like, he's actually willing to come down even though it's snowing. Like, that is a positive. I appreciate that. So then you know, I had this sweater that I wore on every first date, which is so silly, but it was weird because I do try to keep myself fit. I did not want to attract a man who was like only attracted to how my body looked. I wanted them to focus on me, but I also wanted to look cute. And so it was just interesting. Like, the pictures, like, oh, don't post full body pictures, because then guys are just like, like comments. I'm like, okay, could you like get to know me? All right, okay. So I had this sweater that I always wore on every date, and I wore just black pants. And so I remember I was at work, and I was telling my client in my chair, like, oh, I have a first date tonight, and I was excited, and she's like, I can't wait to hear how it goes. And so I'm using the Tarte Face Tape. It's my favorite full coverage foundation, especially when my skin is kind of, you know. So she, you know, we were just chit-chatting, and I'm just getting cleaned up, and I'm like, okay, I'll meet you. And so where my work is there's like a big shopping center, and there's a bunch of stores, and there was a restaurant there. And so we were kind of going back and forth through text, like, oh, where do you want to meet? I was like, I'll just meet you at this restaurant. And so I was familiar with the area, and he lived a little bit away from me, but he had grown up in my area. But this shopping center was like built after we graduated high school, so he wasn't as familiar with it. So so I start driving over towards the restaurant, and there's a crosswalk right in front of me from the parking lot. So I stop at the crosswalk, and right in front of me walks this like tall, man, and like I could just tell right away from his pictures like that was him. And it was like my heart leapt. Like I saw him walk in front of me and I audibly was like, oh my gosh, like I was so excited because I was like instantly I was attracted to him. Instantly I thought he looked so cute, and he was wearing just like a sports kind of zip up jacket, you know, because it was cold, in his jeans, and he just walked and he did not see me. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going on a date with this guy. He is so cute. And so then, you know, I'm all excited. And so he ended up turning and walking around the concierge building that you can walk through. And so I knew the shortcut. So I walked through the building. I kind of went through and got to the restaurant first. And so I was kind of waiting for him. And then as soon as he like walked in, I was like, hi, remember, I'm so excited to meet you. And I gave him a hug, and he was like, oh my gosh, who is this crazy girl? Why is she hugging me? He is a more shy, introverted guy. So that's pretty typical for him. And so we start chit-chatting. We realized we went to the same high school. Like he was only a few years older than me. We grew up in the same area. We had like so many things in common. And we sat there for 3 hours. And I was like, oh my gosh, we've been here for 3 hours. And he's like, that is crazy, but also probably a good thing. And I'm like, right? And so it was crazy because we had such an instant connection. We were just talking, and he was talking a ton, and he wasn't like awkwardly shy or anything. And I remember like like I love shopping at Ross, and I remember he had just like gone to Ross and bought a new shirt, and somewhere along the line I was like, oh my gosh, I like your shirt or something, and he's like, thanks, I just got it at Ross. And I was like, I love that. That's so funny. But I just remember sitting there looking at him and just like the little crinkles around his eyes and his laugh, and I was like, okay, this definitely has some potential here. Of course, it was just a first date, first meeting. And so from there, you know, we started, you know, going on dates, and pretty quickly I was not wanting to date other people. I told him, I was like, listen, we don't have to be exclusive. I'm just telling you that I'm not going to be going on dates with other people just because I don't want to put any energy into other people right now. And I don't have anyone else I'm really interested in dating, which for him was just crazy. He's like, wait, this girl's responding. She's telling me what she wants. She's telling me how she feels. She's not ghosting me. She's communicating. He was like mind blown. Like, what? Like he was just so used to girls like, oh yeah, I had fun. Boom, never talked to him again. Oh, I had fun. Boom, never talked to him again. And he's like really frustrated because he's like, I feel like I'm going on like 50 first dates, and like this, like dating is just so horrible that people just don't tell you what they actually want. So like right after our first day, I said, I had so much fun. I looked forward to getting to know him, going out. I would love to go out again. And so again, he was just like, what? Who is this girl? And so, you know, after a few weeks, I told him that, and his response was like, you know, I don't want you to rush into being exclusive with me. You know, you're welcome to date other people. And his kind of thought process behind that was that he didn't want me to just date him. He wanted me to choose him. Like, go on dates. He's like, go on dates. Like, go on as many dates as you want. And he was also like, why wouldn't a guy want to go out with you? Like, I'm sure you have lots of opportunity to date. And I was like, okay. Like, he's not afraid of the competition. Like, he's not like, okay, you know, I'm, you know, trying to lock this down way too soon. He was just like, no, sure, go on dates. Like, I'm sure guys want to go with you. And I was like, okay, not jealous, very confident, but like, you know, like, okay, that's different for me. So then after a few more weeks, it just became very apparent that, we like we were both not interested in dating other people. And so we made it official and started, you know, being exclusive. And I remember driving in his truck and just kind of laughing because he has 4 kids. And I was like, if this works out, like, what are we going to do? And he's like, I don't even know. And I was like, are we gonna have to get a bus? And we just started laughing about it. And we're just driving and laughing like, what the heck are we gonna do with this? And I said, I am not a minivan mom. And he's like, oh, good. Well, I'm not either. I'm like, well, then I guess we're just gonna have to figure out an SUV or something if it ever came to that. And we just laughed hysterically about the fact that if we got married, we would have 7 children. And we're just like, that's crazy. This is so crazy. And so the whole like first few months that we were dating, we were just like, this is crazy. Like, what are we doing? We're crazy. Like, like 7 children. Are we even realizing how many children this is? But yet we were so drawn to each other. And every time we went out and every time like I saw him, I was just like, no, I want to see you. Like he would want to come see me, even if it was like the shortest amount of time. He'd be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I got caught up late at work. I can't get there till 9. And where like other people would be like, oh, you know, it's too late. He'd be like, no, like he would drive an hour to see me for 30 minutes. And I'm like, who is this guy? He's putting in effort. Like he's kind. One of our, I think it was our second date, I brought him like a little drink and he was like, you brought this for me? And I was like, yeah. So it's like, he's shocked at me. I'm shocked at him. Like this is both what we've been looking for and not been able to find. And so we're both like very apprehensive. Like, are you real? Is this real? Like this seems too good to be true. But, you know, it wasn't. So we got engaged fairly quickly and got married fairly quickly, and I don't regret any of it. Now we have almost been married for 2 years, and although it has been an extremely wild ride and one of the craziest things I've ever done, it's not because of him. It's just because of everything else that comes together with co-parenting and blending a family of 7 children. But 100%, I know that it was the right decision to get married, and the way circumstances ended up, it was a good thing we got married when we did, because 6 months after we got married, we ended up with his kids full time. So like not only do we have my kids every other week, so we have those 3, we now have his kids and they're with us. They see their mom like maybe 1 or 2 nights every other week. So I am like full-time mother of the house. Like I am the stepmom, of course. I'm not the biological mother by any means, and I don't try to be. But like I am the mother of the house who is coordinating things for 7 children. It is insane. And so, you know, sometimes we just look at each other and we're just like, what have we even gotten ourselves into? But like it felt so natural, and it's like I remember being like, I feel like I've known you my whole life. Like I feel like I've known you 100 years. That doesn't even make sense because I literally just met you. But in part of me is like, was it always meant to be like this? Like were we always meant to be together? Like it's so wild. So where getting married and choosing to be married was easy, um, meshing into his life and co-parenting on his side has not been easy. It has not been easy at all. So usually when a relationship parts ways, you can co-parent, which means you are on the same page, you work together, you're involved in each other's lives, and you work together to take care of the kids. And then for people who are in a high conflict divorce, the option is to parallel parent, which means you guys have separate things you do and you kind of have separate lives from each other. And I was all about co-parenting. Like I was going in like, yes, my kids already have a stepmom. My kids had had a stepmom for a year at that point. So my ex had already been remarried. I figured out how to be a balance of like, hey, I'm friendly to this person. I gave my kids the permission to love her and realize she's like a good person to them. That's only a benefit. If she's a good stepmom to them, like how is that a bad thing? And so I was like, okay, this will be good. Like I wouldn't say me and their stepmom are like besties. We're not like friends, but we are friendly people who can co-parent and respect each other and in the best interests of our kids. So I went into it thinking that same thing. Like I was like, okay, this is going to be great. Like, you know, I know how to co-parent with another woman and this is going to be awesome. And it did not go like that at all. It did not go anything like that. So we do in that respect as what's called parallel parenting. So we have our life, we do our things, and we are not intermeshed. It is hard, but again, that is not our decision. Like I would be happy to do that. I would be happy to have, you know, birthday parties and those kinds of things together. But, you know, you can only do what someone else feels comfortable with. And when someone isn't comfortable, like that's their mom. So I respect her. I respect her wishes, and we just leave it at that. So I just kind of do my thing in my world, and then she does her thing when she takes them. And so a lot of people like ask me like, oh, well, why are this or why are that or why are the kids are, and I'm like, I literally don't know. Like all I know is that my husband is an amazing husband, and when I have those kids in my home, I love them and treat them like they're my own, and that's all I can do. So this is the new Morphe. This is Blind Date Cheek Thrills. These are really cute. It has like a little cream blush and then a couple of other shades. So super cute. I really like how that looks too. Let's put some highlighter on. I think I'll use that Charlotte Tilbury one. It's hard to see kids put in the middle of a divorce because in the end of the day, no child, unless one of the parents is abusive, which neither of the parents in this situation, none of the parents are abusive. Um, unless the parent is abusive, a child doesn't want their parents to get divorced. Like my kids didn't want me to get divorced, and his kids didn't want them to get divorced. They are going to always want their mom and their dad to be together. So when you enter the picture as a stepmom, you're automatically like you're the person standing in between me and my mom and my dad being together. Even though in my case, like he had already been divorced. I didn't meet him when he was married. I didn't pull him away from his wife. Like, of course, I'm not a person that is okay with entering a relationship with someone who is married. So that is not me. That is not what has happened. But you know, the kids, they like, it's hard for them to learn to accept that this big thing has happened to them and they have no control over it. So they're in this loyalty bind of like, I love my mom and I want to be with her, but I love my dad. And then there's this woman and like she's super nice and she takes care of me, but she's not my mom. And so it's hard for kids to get to that point where they feel comfortable with that kind of situation. My kids acclimated way easier because they already had a stepmom and because of the way I treated their stepmom and how I made them feel okay with having a stepmom. They do great. Like they go back and forth. They're okay. I think it's harder where the kids are feeling torn between the parents. Like, well, if I go with my mom, it makes my dad upset. If I go with my dad, it makes my mom upset. When kids are feeling that, it is hard on them. And so I just do my best to be a positive person who can help support the kids when I have them and realizing I'm not their mom. I'm never going to be their mom, but I can be a person who loves and takes care of them and always supporting them having a positive relationship with their mother because she is their mom. Anyhow, this was the little guy that started it all. Huh? Did you have to go potty, huh? He's a little nervous one. This is Han. He was the picture of the little guy that made me want to date his daddy. All right, let's put you back outside. Anyway, so that is the story how I got myself a man and 7 kids and a dog. So my life does look very different now. I do work full-time as a hairstylist, but I usually work like, they consider full-time like anything over 30 hours. So I don't work a full 40 hours, which is great because let's be honest, I have lots of people to attend to, lots of games and running around, and my oldest just got his license and I got him a car, so now he can drive himself around, and life is pretty crazy, and people are just always asking me like, Amber, how do you do it all? And I'm like, I don't really know. You know, I just do my best every day and it just has to be good enough. And you know, there's a lot of learning that goes into blended families. Like helping and supporting kids through a blending process is really important so that they can feel seen and heard and feel like they can express their emotions and everybody feels like they have a safe space to be. So we have 5 boys and 2 girls. So we have oldest is a girl, she's 18, and then we have 2 16-year-olds, but one's a junior, one's a sophomore. Then we have 2 8th graders, one is 14, one is 13, and then an 11-year-old who is in 6th grade, and then my daughter Little Miss who is in 2nd grade and she is 8. So it is quite the house full. I honestly don't even know how we make it all work. I don't know how I afford to feed them all. I just work really hard. But I will say, like, we have a happy home. Like, the kids are doing really well. And that doesn't mean that it's perfect. It doesn't mean we don't have to figure out what works and what doesn't. And sometimes somebody's having a hard time and they're expressing, you know, frustration at some other person or another kid or at me or at their dad or whoever. And my job is to be able to navigate the chaos. You know, we are the chaos coordinators, and realizing that when kids go through all of these changes, like their feelings are valid, like their feelings of anger or of frustration or confusion or like, hey, I'm not so sure about this, like all those feelings are valid, but as long as they have a place where they feel like they can express those emotions, it really, in my opinion, has helped them. And the bottom line is like every blended family is different and the way your blended family works is different. If you have a mom and a dad who are both actively in your life, those are your biological parents. But for people who get remarried after a spouse dies, their step parent may feel like their mom or dad. And so there are some instances where a step parent may adopt the children. So those would be more involved as a step parent. So in my instance, like my kids have a stepmom and they have a mom and a dad and a stepdad. And my stepkids have me and they have their mom and they have their dad. And so I just think of it as like, as a business. Like my husband is, you know, a CEO of this company, and he has this other partner with him that also helps raise the kids, and I am his assistant, I'm his secretary, and so I just do whatever helps him be a good dad. And so that is what my role is. So I actually have really enjoyed being a stepmom, and I've always loved being a mom. So yes, it's been a huge adjustment, but overall it has been more positive than I could ever imagine. And I always wanted to have more kids. And so now I just have a house full, and you know, we have a lot of fun. We play games, and we went on a trip to Disneyland this year, and I took all of them, and it was so exciting to share something that I've loved with them and just see them grow and develop and like change as they're getting older has been such an awesome experience. So anyway, that's a little bit about my life and what I've been up to. Let me pick out a lip color really quick and then I'll finish up. This is Solo Player. This is one of the Urban Decay lip bonds. It's kind of a violet-y color. But yeah, so in a nutshell, that's kind of where I've been. That's my 2 cents on being a stepmom. And there's always more that you can say, you know what I mean? But I think we'll save some of the funny dating stories for another day. But if there's anything in particular you guys have questions on, I really am an open book in sharing my journey and knowing that if you are a step parent or if you're in a blended family, if you're a single mom, like I understand you, you're not alone, and you can enjoy this crazy journey. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. All right, bye-bye.